Hello guys, Awakening Animations here, and welcome to part 4, I believe, of making a stylized wooden wall or plank wall in Blender 2.8 and obviously Substance Painter. Okay, so here we are in Substance. We're going to create a new project. So this is up to you, how much resolution you want for these guys. Keep in mind that it's going to be per material set you set up, and we only gonna have one, so I'm just gonna keep it on 2K. That reminded me of something really stupid that I forgot, so for those following along, let's not make the mistake now and quickly fix this here. Okay, so this is my high poly. It's my low poly. It's good that we're seeing here. I want to stay on that. Okay, so this is our low poly, and we need to just give these all the same material. So I'm just going to create one material and call it plank wall, like so, and then we can just select everything, Control C, and materials, where you at? Is it Control C? No, Control L, materials. So now they should all have the same material, just what we wanted, and let's just re-export this. So this is just for the low poly. Luckily we don't need to do it for everything. So yeah, our low poly here, make sure selected objects only, and that's it. Okay, so I'm going to save this and back to Substance Painter. Cool. So now we can select our plank wall low here. All is good. OpenGL, that's the normal map format we're going to be using, and let's just hit OK. So don't worry about the error we're seeing here. That's just says my graphics card is outdated, whatever. I can't fix that. There's no more updates for my drivers, graphics card drivers. Anyway, so without talking too much, let's do our bake here. So I'm gonna bake it on 2K. We're not gonna worry about an ID, but the rest is what we're looking for, and we'll bring in our high poly here quickly, and we leave all this as is. We're just gonna let's keep it on 1K to make sure everything is going well, and we'll come and bake it with some anti-aliasing. We can save our mesh name since we prepared that, and here's our prefixes that we set up, or suffixes, whatever, prefix, suffix. Okay, so it's still not picking up my material here. Why? It's saying default mesh map material, like I didn't just name that. Anyway, no big deal. Just know that your material name should show up here. We can just change that afterwards. It's only going to be a couple of maps. So let's bake this out. 1K, all that should have been set up. Okay, my mesh name, no ID, and let's just hit bake. So here we see everything in Substance Painter, which is quite cool, although we won't have time to really see what's happening here, but anyway. So it seems like we got all the nice smoothing groups and stuff from our high poly. Here it looks okay, but maybe a little bit problematic over here. Doesn't look that great, does it? I guess it might be the size of that in our UV editor. So if you guys want to fix that problem, let's quickly handle that. We're gonna do this quite fast, hopefully. So let's go back in there. Maybe that's gonna fix our naming problem here too, because these guys should have all the same material name. Plank wall, this is my low. If I'm not corrected, yep, all low, all nice. So let's go into all of them at the same time. Go into our UV editing, and let's have a look here. What's happening, bolts? So let's see what we're working with here. I want to go and select you, you, and you, and you. Okay, so maybe we don't have enough space for these guys. So let's give them some more space. We've got the space, right? So let's rotate it 90. Let's bring it out of the way here. Let's have a look here. Okay, so you can come down here, and you guys can come sit nicely over here. Great, and that means we can give it some more space. So let's select it again and again and just scale it up ever so slightly. Make sure this sits in there nicely, and that's about it. So this should give us a better bake there, I hope. Otherwise it's okay, it's a small piece. So all of these things are alright, nothing wrong over there. This is our top pieces here that's wrapping around. It should be fine. Let's see what happens. Okay, once again, we did only bake it on 1K for a test, so in the worst case it could be that. So hopefully our material is coming along this time. Let's see. FBX, put it on the low. That's why I exported that previous one in the wrong place. Oh, what have I done? Not the brightest thing. I exported those too. Okay, why not? So anyway, this is gonna work now. Selected objects only. Maybe you guys saw that and thought, what an idiot. But anyway, let's save this. And yeah, do know that we just changed our UVs, so our original ones UVs are not going to be the same, and that's a problem too. But luckily we incrementally moved these guys, so we are good. Let's go into project configuration, select round 2, make sure round 2, yeah, and okay, so things are going to be a bit messed up now because we need to rebake that. So let's do so. This time we sure it should be alright, so let's give it some anti-aliasing and hit bake. Yeah, we didn't want an ID anyway. Okay, so our bake is completed. We got a fail for the ID, but that's no problem. So here we can see we're working on the right material now. Our bolt, let's get to our bolt here. Has a much cleaner bake. I like that. That's what we were going for. And everything else seems to be alright and dandy. Okay, so the workflow would be now is that we actually export these guys, or just the mesh maps. So what we can do is export textures, and inside here we can find something called mesh maps. So where you at? Mesh maps, there we go. And let's just go to the right folder. So this thing's working upside down. Okay, so it's just here, Blender tutorials, blank wall. Okay, so that's my original go at it. So I'm just going to create a new one called mesh maps here, and we want to save it in there. 2K, all that's fine. Export. Okay, so if I open this folder and bring it over here, you can see that we got everything we needed. We got our curvature, our normals, all these maps that just got baked. Okay, so what that means for us is that we can start a new project here now. Okay, keep it on 2K, OpenGL, and inside of Blender now, what we can do is move these guys back. So 1, 2 for you, 1 down for you, and 1, 2 for you guys. Okay, and this guy came down 2 as well. So that's how it was. Okay, and now since we changed the UVs and stuff, I'm going to delete all the guys in the original here and just stay with our exploded now as our original. So let's delete that as well. Delete this group. Okay, cool. So that's all we have visible here at the moment, and that's what we're looking for. And let's export that now. Export FBX, selecting only round 2, plank wall, export. So if we did everything right, I can just bring in the plank wall this time, which still has our materials, one material, sorry, and inside here we're going to bring in our mesh maps, all of them, like so. Discard, I don't want to save that, we got the mesh maps out, and there we go. Now we've got our original, how we want it to be, with our right mesh maps in here ready to be used. Cool. Cool. So now we can get started here. So since we don't have a high res in the sense that we sculpted our wood and all that good stuff, we're just going to use the built-in materials here. This is just a quick game assets. There's a lot to cover if you guys want beginner's tutorial on Substance Painter and creating your own materials using sculpted details and all that stuff. We can do that. So I'm in all here. Let's just search wood. And there's a bunch of woods that we could use here. So wood ship hull, wood chessboard, beech veined. I don't know, let's try this one. Looks nice. Let's delete this crappy layer here. So that does look like a nice wood. Let's use this wood, and what we'll do is we'll make the color for the planks a bit darker than the posts, and then we'll use maybe the same wood or a different wood here just with a lighter color to show that it's been cut off. Okay, so the first thing noticeable here is the direction, and we might pick up UV seams, so we can as well use triplanar for this. So how's the direction flowing on the post? The direction on the post is fine. So what we can do is Control C and Control V here, and we'll add a white mask on the, no, let's just add a black mask here. Okay, hide this one, and with this button here on the side, while you're on the mask, we can select object here and select these guys like so. Okay, and we could invert using X like in Photoshop to get black texture, and go to this is your UV chunk fill. So we UV the part that should be different here as well, so we can do that already to remove that top section as we'd like to. And yeah, now we can just make some changes to this material. So let's have a look how our seam is working here. It's doing a good job to me, so we might not even need to use triplanar. We'll see. So the first thing here, we're going to keep this one this color, and here's a secondary color which we can enhance if we want. I'm sure it's using yeah, so it's got a grunge map here. Maybe if we hide it and have a look, we can maybe scale it up like 2.29, maybe have it repeat a bit more. That looks nice, why not? We can always change the color of that. I'm on the right place. So we've got the hue here and the saturation, so maybe we can make it darker and saturate it a bit more to have more of that kind of feel to it. The next thing we can have a look at is the wood fibers. So if we remove that, we can see what that is. I kind of like how it's repeating the wood fibers, but once again, however you want to make the changes, here's a warp that's being used, the levels, it's just bringing the whites up, and then there's the directional scratches here, which is giving the main effect at the end. So we can add more or less, play with the noise on it, but I'm happy with that. I want to look at these veins now, which we're getting like so. The height, we can maybe even take it in some more to have thicker or more stronger cuts inwards, and it's using the same directional scratches, so we can bring the balance up and we can get some more of them in there, which could be what we're going for. And a grunge map, which is nice. It's kind of breaking them up, which once again we can change the scale or the balance of the grunge map. Okay, so let's break it up a bit more like that. Let's see what the cracks do. Okay, so the cracks are adding more variation, so we like that. Let's do it. And we can play with the scale if we want, so we can make it 6. So that's nice, and we've got this warp here, so I think the warp is making the cracks kind of more squiggly. So let's have a look. It's on 2.62 at the moment. Yeah, so that's nice, since we're going for a stylized look. And once again, the color is all up to us. If we make this red, we're gonna have like red cracks, if you can see. So let's make it reddish brown, just do it here with our stylized look, and it's put on multiply. That's why we're getting this dark effect. So we can put it on normal and we're going to completely only get the brownish look, but I like the multiply, and we can always stay on color and bring it down to have less of that effect on it, but I'm happy with that for now. So that's a funky looking wood. Here we still have this dirt and stuff. It looks a bit more like oil, which we'll get to now. We've got the dust, so let's have a look what the dust is doing here. So it doesn't look like much is happening, so let's see what's happening here. Okay, so the dust seems to be just filling up everything here. It's using ambient occlusion, and okay, so I see that's working on our roughness, so that's fine. If we look at edges here, it's like I almost like the effect without this, but it gives a nice little effect. So let's see what it's doing. It's working on our curvature, and if we bring the balance down, we'll have a bit more of that nice look. Okay, so I like that for now. Next we've got dirt, which is nice. Using a dirt mask, we can look at the level, dirt contrast a bit lower, grunge amounts a bit higher. Have some nice dirty looking wooden planks here. Yeah, that looks nice. White stains. I'm happy with the repetition of the white stains, but you can feel free to play with that how you want. And finally, we've got these stains here, which are like oily stains, which we don't need. This isn't a ship hull, so we're not going to have these oil stains like we see there. Okay, and then we've got the sharpen. So if you can see, when we remove it, we've got this kind of blurry feel, and the sharpen just brings out some of these details, which I like. So I'm going to keep that. The intensity seems fine. If we take this up, it's going to go crazy, like 0.8. That's crazy. So let's try 0.2 only, 0.25. Okay, we lose that blurry feel like that. So I'm going to leave these top pieces for last because we're going to add a kind of ring on it. In fact, we can do it quite quickly. We'll use the same material. Sorry. Just use a black mask on it and select these two guys. So we're going to need to do 2 of these guys, just because when we want to map our circular texture, we're going to need it twice so that we can move the position of that circular indent how we'd like it. Okay, so the first thing for this top indentation here is going to be the color. So we definitely want this to be lighter in color. So let's go firstly here and bring the lightness up. Saturation a bit lower. Okay, we'll keep the wood fibers. Our base here, I can't see where the color is coming from. Okay, so that could work. The veins here, we might want to give it some more so it gets smaller. And now it's in here where we're going to mix our secondary height. So let's just do it after the veins, like so. We'll add a new material, and it's going to be affecting our height, and we can keep the normal there. And where have I found this before? In fact, if I stayed on wood there, did it? So that's a knot above. That could work. There was another one I think that I found before that I really liked. Well, let's just scroll through the alphas here and see what we get. That knot might be perfect. So yeah, here's the knot again. I'm sure there was another one, but let's drop this into our height here. And yeah, it's not great at the first glance. So we got that, and we need to bring it over there and maybe a little bit over there. So something like that, showing that it got kind of cut off there in the top. And we can always go into our height over here and just lower that guy down. just so it's kind of peeking through, mixing with the other details. And yeah, so we'll just copy this guy and paste it, go into our mask, remove it from here and add it to this guy. So now we're going to do some figuring out how to get this knot there onto the other side. So let's just move it around. Let's bring this guy to 0. So there we go, we found it. And it's kind of on a different spot, which is cool. We can just leave it where it is. And there we go, we've got our knots or cut off parts on the top there. It looks quite cool. And that's it for our posts. So how far are we in here? 26 minutes. Okay, so this one's going quite a bit. Let's quickly get our front parts done here. Go back to base color so everything looks fine. So yeah, now we can enable this guy, add a black mask, and just make sure we're on object here and select these 3. Okay, and we want to change our texture directions. So we got the wood fibers here, and it's gonna be in here that we're gonna change it. So we'll put it on 90. Now our fibers are going in the right direction, and maybe we can scale these fibers so that they, not that one, kind of stretched out more, or differently. I don't know, something like that. So yeah, here it's better doing it in here, so I might as well lock that to 2. There we go. Now we're stretching out those fibers a bit there, which is nice. And we're going to do the same for the veins here. So they also need to be rotated. Oopla, not that. 90 there, and we got our veins up in there. We can give them as well some scaling. And where's our balance? Give it some more, something like that. And first thing I want to do here is remove these stains. Okay, so maybe with this one we're keeping the planks itself lighter and the posts this more darkish look. So all I'd like to do here maybe is make sure we've got more dirt. Just have more dirt, like so. That's fine. Okay, and the nice way, or the nice thing about this is we've got some variation. Okay, so as well we want to do the caps for these guys. So these ones we're not going to have difference like with the knot up there. We'll just have different in color. So we can do that. We'll go here and we want to remove these guys. Okay, and then we can copy paste the same material we just worked on now, add a black mask, make sure we're on white, and add them back. Okay, so now the only thing we want to do here is make the color lighter. So what we can do as well is just come on top of the secondary color, add a material like that, only affect the color, make it a more yellowish, faded yellow effect, and let's play with some blending modes and see what we get. So let's say overlay or screen maybe. Let's bring it closer to a brownish look, and then we can just play with this effect here. Okay, and maybe we want to go back to our fibers and rotate it back to 0, and the same for the veins, rotate it back to 0. Okay, and for the veins we can now just make this like 8. Okay, cool. Cool. So that looks like they've been cut off over there, difference in color and all that good stuff. Finally, we're just going to do this bolt quickly, and that would be it. Please feel free to spend more time here. Yeah, I don't know, make yours look better. Add some moss if you want, or just the more details the better. Of course they need to make sense, but you get the idea. This is just like crappy texturing happening here. Okay, so let's go to metals, and I don't know, let's get some hammered looking raw material. Make sure it's only going on this object and this one, and let's just maybe make it a bit of a lighter color, oh sorry, darker color. And yeah, so that's it for our bolt there as well. So in the next part, or let's export these guys quickly. So to do the export, we're just going to select our export destination, like so, and I'm just going to export from my document channel, so, and we don't need an alpha, so we'll just do that, and a very quick cleanup after the export, nothing serious. Voila. Okay, so here we've got everything we need. We don't need this normal here. Here's our proper normal map, and that's it. Base color, height, metallic, ambient occlusion, normal map, and roughness. Cool. So in the next part we'll set up our materials in Blender, and we'll create a little wall with variants of how the planks are looking with their shape. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and see you guys in the next one.